Hi guys, Redneck Computer Geek here. I didn't really realize the fact that after all of these years, I've never done a dedicated video on where the term Redneck Computer Geek came from, or rather the name Redneck Computer Geek. So, first of all, I want to clarify the word redneck, because until I became a YouTuber, I didn't actually realize the term redneck was derogatory for most of the United States. So, up here in Maine, the term redneck is actually not derogatory. It's actually a term of endearment. It tends to be towards people that are poor, but they have really good mechanical skills and they make do on a budget. And yes, most rednecks hunt. I grew up in a very, very poor family, and, well, let's just say it wasn't uncommon in my family to shoot more deer than you actually got licenses for. We'll leave it at that. But the thing is, up here, poacher families that survive on that kind of thing, they survive by spreading out the income, we'll say. It wasn't uncommon whatsoever for somebody in the area to take a few extra, but to trade it off to other rednecks and poor people in order to be able to trade services. You know, somebody's freezer might get a little extra meat in it, but the other person's woodshed might happen to get a little bit extra wood in it. Something like that. So that's where the term redneck came from. I grew up redneck poor. Computer geek. So let's break that down into computer and geek. We'll go with geek first, because geek is different than nerd and it's different than dork. And so geek is an intellectual that is capable of talking and conveying what it is that they have for skills, what they have for knowledge. Usually they're people that are not into the irritating facts, we'll call it. Dorky people are the people that get into like the comic booky stuff and, you know, the Batman versus Superman and stuff like that. Nerds are the in-between. You have geeks and you have dorks and then you have nerds, which are in between. And so that's the reason why it is that I defer to the fact that I am a geek. I am not a nerd and I am not a dork. I am a geek. There is a difference in the terminology. So, now that we've clarified that I'm an intellectual that is capable of conversing it, therefore I'm a geek, let's go to computers. Now, a lot of you know that I was a computer technician. What a lot of you won't know, unless you happen to watch a very old video called 50,000 Subscribers, Thank You, is that my father was actually head technician of the high school in my area. And with being head technician, he was basically the default computer repair guy. And he wasn't exactly that great at it. So he used to bring home computers to supposedly repair. And I had an entire basement filled basically with computers, because people used to donate business computers to schools in groups and stuff like that. Schools didn't outright buy computers at first. A lot of your computers in schools were donations from like credit card companies or banks that would do an upgrade, or a business that would upgrade like 20 machines. And then they would bulk drop off all of those computers to schools like the high school I went to. And then they would refurb those computers and they would put them in order to be able to do stuff. Because keep in mind, at first, basically the only thing you cared was whether you could write a Word document. The whole internet and gaming and stuff like that had not really caught on yet. And so computers were literally nothing more than just a glorified typewriter. And so even a 5-year-old computer was more than capable of doing what you needed. Anyways, so getting back to that. So my dad would, well, he would attempt. Let's word it that way. Let's politely word it as he would attempt to fix the computers. And then as I grew up with all of these computers torn apart around me, by the time that I was about 12 years old, I basically was the covert computer repair technician of the Belfast High School. And what people didn't realize for years was that basically my dad was bringing home computers. I would fix them in our basement, and he would take them back to the school. And my dad would basically kind of pay me a little bit of a dollar here and a couple of bucks there for fixing up the computers. So when I ended up in high school, it kind of no longer was a secret, the fact that I was the one fixing the computers. So by the time my 8th grade year came around, my dad actually brought me into the high school, and we basically had a converted janitor closet that became the computer technician area of the high school. And I just started working at the high school. So when my dad would get done with teaching and stuff like that, and we'd get done with the school day, I would go down to this glorified janitor's closet and work on computers and stuff. Eventually, as the computer system became more advanced and networking became more of a thing and stuff like that, they ended up hiring somebody that was an actual computer technician. But by that point, a 13-year-old and his dad faking it had basically been the computer techs for the high school for the last 6 years. So that's where the computer side came in. So when I was in high school, my 9th grade English teacher basically ended up naming me the Redneck Computer Geek, and it stuck. And thank you, Mrs. Doak. To this day, it has worked out. Mrs. Doak, my 9th grade English teacher, I will forever thank you for the advice that, Neil, you suck at English and you will fail at English your entire life, but when you do figure out a language that you do speak, I hope you make a career out of it. And I have taken that to heart my entire life. I just turned 42 years old, and to this day, I speak the language of how-tos. And I teach you guys, and I made a career out of it. Now, we're going to have to change that career around a little bit, but I'll still be teaching you guys, doing how-tos, and talking the language that you guys understand. So thank you, Mrs. Doak, and wherever you are today, I hope your life has gone well. Have a good day, guys, and that's where the term Redneck Computer Geek came from. Say bye-bye, Jethro!